thing with the Bears is they have done everything to screw this kid up from the beginning. What did you expect? You've done such a poor job of understanding whether or not he's the guy.
Does Eberflus stay? Does Fields stay? Does it matter if Caleb Williams is there? We are Unsportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, along with Chris Canty, Michelle Smallman, Evan Cohen with you if you're watching on ESPN2. We are in Christmas mode today, unintentionally, that we're all wearing red and green. I don't know how this happened, but it did. You know what's interesting is we head into the final weekend of the NFL, because we don't have a 500 season anymore with a 17-game season. That swing of 9-8 versus 8-9 feels like perception-wise, it could mean some things, right? That you get closer to 8-9, 9-8, or if you have 7 wins and you get to 8, like we think back to, oh, well, during the 16-game season, you're a 500 team. So Smalls is a list of teams for us, CC. We're going to go through this. Perception-wise, does it change if they reach one more win? Who you got for us, Smalls?
First team, the Chicago Bears. Does a win or loss impact how you feel about them this season?
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. This team has won 4 of their last 6. If you end the season winning 5 of your final 7, all of a sudden now you feel like you got a head coach in Matt Eberflus. Remember, it's just his second year there in Chicago. And then also considering how Justin Fields has played over the last, 4 or 5 games, you like the prospects of potentially being able to flip him and get a second-round pick plus, considering that you would probably use your first-round pick on a quarterback at the top of the draft.
Totally agree. I think it absolutely flips us in terms of their perception. I think we go to a specific place with them. I think they become last year's Lions. Because if you think about what the Lions did last year, they finished, 8-9, and they won the final game of the season, spoiling the Packers' hopes for the playoffs. Same exact thing would happen. CeCe, let me give you the who says no scenario right now on this. I'm going to give you the who says no. Atlanta's second-round pick to the Bears for Justin Fields.
Nobody says no.
Yeah, that's like that should just happen now.
Yeah, it makes too much sense.
Get him in their program, get it going.
He's from
here.
Atlanta. Yeah. It makes a ton of sense.
Just let's get it moving here.
Perfect fit for both sides.
Yeah.
But we left the Bears for dead early this season. That's a really good comp of last year's Lions. I mean, think about all of the drama that was happening within the team. Coaches leaving. Justin Fields was saying they were trying to stifle him. The play calls weren't working for him. We thought it was a foregone conclusion weeks ago that Matt Eberflus was out the door, that he was counting his days, that he should pack his bags. And now we're talking about him coming back next season. I absolutely think another win for the Bears changes our perceptions. What about the 8-8 Packers? Does a win this weekend change your perception about the Packers this season?
No, I think they made the right decision in moving on from Aaron Rodgers. I already knew they had a good head coach in Matt LaFleur. We just wondered whether or not Jordan Love could play, and I think he's shown that. He's top 10 in QBR, top 10 in passing yards, and the kid, I think, is top 3 in passing touchdowns. So Jordan Love has shown that he deserves the confidence of everybody in that building and Packers fans as a whole. So I think they made the right decision. Now, if they're able to get in the playoffs, a winning-in situation at home, if he's able to do what Aaron Rodgers couldn't last year, that's the icing on the top of the cake.
Bingo. Absolutely agree with the last part of it. It doesn't necessarily change the perception, because I agree. I mean, I 100% agree with CeCe. I think we're all on board with Jordan Love. He's your guy. It helps our argument, right? It helps if you're in the camp, as I am, of they made the right move in saying goodbye to Aaron Rodgers. It helps the argument that, see, this year they make the playoffs. This year they have more wins than last year. This year your quarterback had more touchdowns and less interceptions than your quarterback did last year. So it helps the argument. It doesn't necessarily change the perception, but you win one more game than you did a year ago.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a good way to frame it. It helps the argument, but I think our opinions are firmly set regardless of what happens this weekend. We know that the Packers made the right decision, and they answered that big question. Jordan Love is the guy.
Yep.
All right, next one. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're 8-8. They're facing the Cleveland Browns this weekend. Does a win or loss impact how you feel about them?
Yes, it does. If you're able to finish with a winning record in the toughest division in all of football, with your quarterback, in effect, missing half the season, yeah, I think it changes how I look at their head coach, Zach Taylor. I think coming into this season, everybody felt like Zach Taylor has just been a passenger on the greatness that is Joe Burrow. But I think if he's able to demonstrate that he can come up with a winning record and get guys to play above the X's and O's, despite missing a top 3 quarterback in the National Football League, I think it changes what we think of the head coach moving forward. Not necessarily the team, not necessarily their prospects for the future, but it changes how we feel about the head coach.
Could not agree more. Zach Taylor, CC, give me another name if I'm wrong on this. Zach Taylor is the most unknown, non-talked about successful coach in the league currently.
Underrated.
It's not underrated as much as, like, I don't even think we discuss him ever. Maybe, no, he is underrated, right? But, like, if he finishes 9-8, like, let's talk about this guy. Is there anybody else I'm missing that, like, we just don't ever talk about that deserves us talking about him?
No. Not as much as Zach Taylor.
No, not at all. I think it also shifts our expectations for them next season. We always think that they're Super Bowl contenders with Joe Burrow, but if they go 9-8 without him for a huge chunk of the season, I think that firmly stamps us considering them to be Super Bowl contenders.
I would pump the brakes on that, Smalls. I mean, the two of the first 4 years of his career, Joe Burrow's finished injured. There's something about guys that stay injured all the time. He starts the season injured. He finished the season injured. I would watch that with Joe Burrow. That would be a little bit concerning if I'm a Bengals fan moving forward.
That's fair, but outside of this season, even though he started the season injured, he was able to find his way back. So let's hope it turns.
Can I just add one other thing,
Yeah.
CC, off of that? And Smalls, they have proven this year, even without Joe Burrow for a full season, they are now forever playoff contenders.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Browning and Taylor give you a playoff contender feel every year.
Yeah.
Good way to phrase it. All right, the Denver Broncos, 8-8. A lot of conversations about the Broncos this preseason, this season. Does a win or loss this weekend impact how you feel about the Broncos?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, if you're able to finish second in the division, knowing that the head coach doesn't have his quarterback of the future, I think you feel good if you're in that front office or if you're a part of that ownership group that we made the right decision in trading for Sean Payton. I mean, the biggest thing is we wanted to get a head coach in there to establish a program and a culture that's going to allow us to rival what we're seeing in Kansas City. I mean, think about it. If you finish with 9 wins in year one for Sean Payton coming off of the disaster that was a 5-win season under Nat Hackett, then I think you feel good moving forward. So, yeah, I think having a winning record and finishing second in the AFC West makes a world of difference in terms of the outlook for the Broncos moving forward.
I hear you. This is the first one where we disagree. I don't think it changes my mindset on the Broncos. Like, I don't know what their future is right now. I have no idea. Like, I don't know where they're getting a quarterback who's actually going to have better numbers than Russell Wilson this year. I don't believe in that roster right now necessarily. Sean Payton is like a Mike Tomlin or a Mike McCarthy or obviously Belichick prior to this year of, like, he's always going to keep you competitive. We know that. I just don't know where they're going with this. So 9-8 doesn't change versus 8-9 in this case.
It doesn't impact what you think about their future.
No, because I don't know what their future is, regardless of result.
Next one, the Saints. What about a win or loss this weekend? Does your perception change on the New Orleans Saints?
No. No, it doesn't change. I mean, they committed to Derek Carr for 2 seasons. That means they still got to be on the hook for him in 2024. And Derek Carr fell flat this year. I don't have any confidence that it's going to change materially going into next season. And that defense is starting to get on last legs. A lot of those guys on that side of the ball are getting a little bit older. So I think this might be a year where the Saints are poised to take a step back. Despite having a lot of household names on that roster. So no, a win doesn't change how I feel about New Orleans.
Totally agree. They could win the division, and I still would think they're massive underachievers. I didn't realize the commitment they just put into Derek Carr, CC. I'm looking this up as you're talking about it. Spotrac has it. Spotrac, whatever the website is. It's amazing. I can't pronounce it. This was the year to win big. Cap hit for your quarterback, 7.2. Dead cap, 60. Next year, Derek Carr's cap hit goes up to 35.7, and his dead cap goes up to 52.8. You're in trouble. Even if you win it, I mean, you are in trouble. They underachieved mightily this year. This was supposed to be the easy division win, stack wins, and give yourself a chance to compete. They didn't do that.
Yeah, most people thought they would run away with that division.
I'll say this. Mickey Loomis is like Chris Angel with that cap. He'll do magic. Like, I mean, he just does it every single year, and I don't know how it's even possible. I'm not worried about the cap as much as I'm worried about the product on the field.
What about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Let's stay in that division. Does a win or loss this weekend shift the way you view them?
It does, because now all of a sudden you're talking about a head coach that's been able to win the division twice with 2 different quarterbacks. And we all know transitioning away from a legend is never easy, but he was able to do that with a cast-off quarterback in Baker Mayfield. I mean, winning the division it gives me confidence that Todd Bowles should be their head coach moving forward. And when you have stability at the head coaching spot, it allows you to, in effect, build a program. And I think that's what the Bucs are trending toward right now.
1,000% agree. Hell yeah, this would change my opinion on them. Increase it. You have the year. Remember, Tom Brady played football last year. Like, I think we feel so far removed from that for whatever reason. Tom Brady played football last year. If they go and they pick Baker Mayfield as their starting quarterback, and they were hoping Kyle Trask out of Florida was potentially going to be their guy and beat out Baker Mayfield, he didn't do that. Baker was unbelievable this year for them. Comeback player of the year. We don't even bring him up. We bring up Flacco and obviously DeMar Hamlin for real life situations. Baker Mayfield in any other year is comeback player of the year. Mm-hmm. Todd Bowles has proven he can coach in this league. You win that division. I don't care. It's 9-8. You were not supposed to do that year after Brady. That is a phenomenal job by the Bucs if they are able to do that. 9-8, 8-9. I guess that's the purpose of this. Not having 500 seasons allows us to have that kind of conversation. All of these potential great performances we've seen, or we could see this weekend, I don't know that any of them compared to what the Joker did last night. Wait till you hear about what the reigning